Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to tell you all about resourcefulness in World of Warcraft Dragonflight crafting. And resourcefulness, it looks much better in the interface than it actually is, but in certain cases it's still super important. So let's take a look at what it really means. So this is from my scribe, resourcefulness. You have a 31.4% chance to use fewer tradable reagents. Wow, 31.4%, that's huge. Or is it? Because what resourcefulness really means is that you have an X% chance, in this case that would be 31.4%, to save 30% of the tradable materials. So 30% resourcefulness does not save you 30% of materials, it only saves you 9% of materials. So it looks way better than it actually is. That is if you're not specced into resourcefulness. As an upside, resourcefulness does save materials evenly of all the tradable materials that you're using over a large sample size. So you will get those awakens or diamonds. You will get all of those valuable materials in the right proportion over time. But those base savings of resourcefulness, they're not very impressive at all. However, you can also put talent points into resourcefulness. All crafting professions have something like this. This is from Inscription. Perfect practice, I have 30 out of 30. And resourcefulness saves 25% additional reagents when crafting inscription goods. And then there was a 10%, and a 10%, and a 5%. So overall, 50% additional reagents. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means that once you're fully specced into resourcefulness, you're going to have an X% chance to save 45% of the materials instead of 30% of materials. And that is actually a huge difference. Let's take an example, concrete example of my scribe. My scribe, 31.4% resourcefulness. I'm fully specced into it, so I'm saving 14.13% of all materials. If I was unspecced, by going through the resourcefulness tree, those 30 points, I'm gaining 6% resourcefulness. So I would have 25.4% resourcefulness, but if I was unspecced, I would only save 7.62% of materials. So actually speccing into that resourcefulness is doubling the amount of materials that I save. And spending points in that slot is really pretty much the only way to make resourcefulness meaningful. However, once you do, you start to see some savings, and those savings can be a big difference when you're doing crafting orders or when you're doing commodities trade. Now, commodities trade, let's say you're prospecting thousands and thousands of ore, so okay, saving like 15% of that ore, that's going to be pretty sweet. And crafting orders, when you do a crafting order, if you get a multi-craft proc, that goes to the customer. If you get a resourcefulness proc, the saved materials go to the crafter. So 14.13%, for example, saved of materials. That includes diamonds, ruined right bark, awakened materials, all sorts of valuable materials. So actually my original plan with this scribe was to just do draconic treatises, but now that Blizzard changes so that you don't do as many public orders as you used to, like I was constantly out of public orders, I was doing lots of draconic treatises. So now it's a little bit more difficult, you have to actually spam trade chat a lot to get enough trade going. But still, first of all, you of course, when you're doing like gear trade, for example, gear crafting, you need to get enough skill and enough inspiration so that you can reliably fulfill the orders that your customers want. But once you've done that, then getting into resourcefulness means that, hey, let's say someone is using 10,000 gold worth of materials. Over time, with enough resourcefulness, 10,000 gold worth of materials means that you're going to get around 1,500 gold worth of materials for craft. So you will be able to sell cheaper, or you will be able to make more profit than others if you're into resourcefulness after you have fulfilled the criteria for getting the crafts themselves done. And when it comes to commodities trade, being into resourcefulness or not can be the difference between profitable commodities trade or just making a loss and wondering how can everyone else be selling this cheap. So while resourcefulness does not work quite the way you would expect from first glance, it is still very useful once you get to a certain point in your crafting career. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.